Good morning and welcome to Fox Chase Farm. I am Mr. Zach and I will be your educator for the day. Today we're going to be discussing chick days. So, as you see here on the screen, this is just a few of the animals that we have here on the farm. So, eventually, when school opens back up and you guys can come, maybe you'll be able to see some of the chicks or the chickens that we have here on the farm. We hope that you can come and eventually see the animals, but for today, I'm just going to be able to teach you what we're going to see. So yes, we're going to see some chicks today. Now let's start out in the beginning of the chick or chicken system. When I tell you a chick or chicken, a lot of people typically think of the little fuzzy puffball, or you might think of a large bird, possibly like a rooster or something. Others might think of a McDonald's chicken nugget or even a Chick-fil-A sandwich. But we're going to first start out in the beginning with the eggs. Now, we typically think of eggs, we know them at the grocery store. But what do we really know about these eggs? First, what animals actually hatch from eggs? To begin, many different animals hatch from eggs. We're going to see that chickens, or the chicks that we see today, actually hatch from eggs. And since chickens are birds, so do all birds. All birds hatch from eggs. Whether it's a hawk, a dove, even the pigeons or the sparrows, they all hatch from eggs. But so do animals like turtles or alligators, and those are actually reptiles. All reptiles hatch from eggs. But so do things like frogs and salamanders, which are amphibians. Even fish hatch from eggs. So your pet goldfish, that's actually from an egg. Or the tuna in the tuna fish sandwich that you're eating, that also hatched from an egg. But those eggs are a little different than the typical egg that we think of, but they're still eggs. Also, there are animals like arachnids, which are spiders, and insects like flies and mosquitoes. They all even hatch from eggs. Even two species of mammals lay eggs. They are called the echidna, which is actually a spiky looking animal in the lower right hand corner there, the one with all the spikes. The other animal is actually a platypus. Both are found in the country or the continent of Australia. Now, some of you might know about the platypus from a television show called Phineas and Ferb. They had a pet called Perry. Perry was a platypus. Now, typically, the platypuses are not blue like Perry was. They're actually brown, but they're still a platypus. Now, all these animals actually lay eggs. And so we're going to see other animals as well. So these animals that lay eggs are actually called, the name is oviparous, which means that the animal lays eggs to reproduce. Animals reproduce in other ways, whether it's giving birth to live young, like the cow here on the farm, in that picture there with a young calf. They give birth to live young, but there's even odder ways animals reproduce, like the starfish. A starfish can lose an arm, and that broken arm can grow into a new starfish. So how would you like that your arm to fall off? All of a sudden, a new you grows from it. That's exactly what happens with starfish. So in that bottom picture is an example of that. That orange piece, the big orange piece, is actually an arm of a starfish that fell or is broken off, and a new starfish actually started growing from it. Interesting, it is an exact clone of the parent starfish. So there'll be two exact starfish wandering around the sea. And that's how some things like the starfish reproduce. Now let's take a closer look at an egg. Now, before a chick hatch, they are hatched from an egg. But what exactly is an egg? An egg is made up of three basic parts: the shell, the white, and the yolk. Now, the shell is mostly made out of calcium. This provides protection from the chick as it's growing inside. The white, which is that white section around the egg yolk, is actually the nutrients to the embryo as it's growing. embryo, which is the yolk, or the yellow part, is actually what turns into a chick. But don't worry, not all eggs will turn into chicks. The eggs we buy at the store or eat for breakfast will not turn into a chick and will never turn into a chick. So they're okay to eat. Now let's take a look at some eggs. Now, when we typically think of eggs, maybe we typically think and see of brown eggs or white eggs. These are the typical eggs that we would see at the supermarket. Interesting fact is that the color of the egg is not healthier than another. So sometimes it's led to believe that brown eggs are healthier than white, or maybe white eggs are healthier than brown. It doesn't really matter. In reality, they have the same nutrients, vitamins, minerals, no matter the color. The only difference is the color of the shell. Now, let's exactly what determines the color of the egg. So actually, the type of chicken determines the color of the egg. So typically, brown chickens will lay brown eggs, while white chickens will lay white eggs. Example of this is the two birds here on the picture. So the Rhode Island red chicken, which is the one on the left side, will lay brown eggs, while the chicken on the right is a white leghorn, and they only lay white eggs. And honestly, the best way to determine the color of the egg is actually by the earlobe of the chicken. So yeah, even chickens have earlobes. They have ears. Now, they're not as noticeable as on humans like us, but they're just holes in the side of the head that the chickens can hear. Now, if the chicken has a dark earlobe, they lay brown eggs, but if they have a white earlobe, they'll lay white eggs. Because there's even a few birds. There are so many different types of chickens in the world, but there are even a few dark birds that lay light eggs and white birds that lay dark eggs. The best way to tell overall is generally by the color, but sometimes you have to tell by the earlobe. Did you know there are even green and blue eggs? Yeah, that's pretty cool. They can come in a large array of different colors. So different chickens lay different colored eggs. There are so many different colored eggs. Now, interesting, there's something called an Easter egger. Now, Easter eggers lay a fairly mixed color of green and blue, while there's something called Americana who lays pastel blue eggs. There are something called an olive egger, which actually lays eggs that are olive colored. But there are so many different colored eggs and so many in between. And on the right is a picture of just a small example of all the different colored eggs there are. Now, each chicken almost lays a different color egg. Look at them all. So many different colors. And there are more colors in between as well. Now, when we look at chickens, only the hens really lay eggs. So the hens are actually the girl chickens. So the female chickens are the ones that lay eggs, while the boy chickens are called roosters. Now, there's a picture of a rooster right there, and those are the boy chickens. And boys are not needed for the girl chicken to lay the eggs. Also, a girl chicken or a hen can lay about 300 eggs a year. That's almost an egg a day. Chickens lay a lot of eggs. You can see all the different colored eggs, but also all the different eggs a chicken can lay. Now, when we typically think of eggs, maybe we think of eating them. Yeah, because eggs are in so much of the food that we eat. What are some of the foods that you think have eggs in them? So let's see, we all know that things like maybe scrambled eggs or omelets, they're mostly eggs. Maybe you'll add some vegetables inside too. But what about other things that have eggs in? Chocolate cake, for example, have eggs in. So there's other baked goods. Maybe it's cookies, cupcakes. Many baked goods have eggs in. But then even noodles have eggs in. So the noodles are actually typically made up of only two ingredients. Main ingredient is flour, and the second main ingredient, eggs. There are a lot of eggs in noodles. Now, even mayonnaise is made up of eggs. So the mayonnaise that you have on your sandwich, it has a lot of eggs in. You can even see it on the picture of the mayonnaise, made with real eggs. Now we're going to take a look at some chicks. Now, first of all, when we take a look at some chicks, I want you to think of some words that you might see. So most of the time, people think of different words including soft, maybe it's fluffy, maybe it's cute, tiny, little. Those are all what I would call opinion words. Now, what we want are descriptive words. Now, what exactly are descriptive words? Descriptive words are words that can actually be proven, or maybe it's this term that can actually be proven true, or it's a fact. So, for example, the chick is about the size of a baseball. Well, if we take the chick and we take a baseball, we put it next to each other, and it's about the same size, and that's descriptive. Or maybe we'll say the chick has brown feathers on its wing. We'll take a look at the chick and we'll see that it has brown feathers on the wing. Maybe we'll also take a look and see that it has two legs. Yeah, the chick has two legs. So what we're going to do is I want you to see some describing words of the chick. So we're actually going to see how much this chick grows. So this chick is, it's a couple of days old. Maybe it's 24 hours old, maybe it's 3 days old. But this chick is very young. We're going to see how much it weighs and how tall it is. Then we'll see what's up next. Then in 2 weeks, we'll catch up, we'll have another lesson together, but then we'll also weigh it and we'll see how tall it is. And you'll be amazed on even just how different not only the chick looks, but also how much it grew. Then when we meet up in 4 weeks, almost a month later, that little chick, that little cute little fluff ball or tiny little chick that we saw, it's not going to look like a little chick anymore. It's going to look almost like a chicken. It is almost fully grown looking. It will have a lot different appearance. But we'll have to wait and see what that looks like.